All right, guys, welcome to the second episode of our Get to 20 Plus call. I'm excited to share with you guys today. Today's everything about the phones. All right. Today, our goal is to help you guys improve your phone skills. Okay. Now, you guys have probably heard the saying that 80% of this business is done on the phones. Okay. Now that's regardless of if it's virtual, if it's in person, everything's done on the phone. Obviously, if it's virtual, it's even that much more important to be good on the phone. So what we're going to talk about is how to get good on the phones, how to simplify some of the things that we do. So that way you guys can improve, have more conversations, have more appointments, have more presentations, and at the end of the day, help more families make more money. So 80% of this business is done on the phone. When I started in this business, guys, I sucked on the phones. Okay. I thought by me having experience in call centers and different sales roles, I would naturally be good at this. And that's what I think a lot of people think. But the way this business is, it's very different from the traditional sales job. Okay. So I'm going to talk about kind of how we operate, some tools and simple things that you guys can do to get better today and actually implement on the phones today and make a difference. So first off, the phones is the number one skill that you need to master to be successful. Okay. If you want to turn this business into an actual ATM, meaning this business is going to literally generate you cash on a regular basis where you're going to work and it's literally sending you deposits every day. It starts with the phones. Okay. 80% of the business is on the phones. 15% of the business is, I can't even remember the equation at this point, but basically 80% of the business is on the phones. All right. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things right now. When it comes to the phones, you guys have to understand people when we're calling, what we're doing, right? So you want to make sure you're changing up your dial patterns, your times, and how you dial. Okay. So some of the golden hours that I found that will help you get in touch with more people, right? Because a lot of this business is about contact, right? This is a contact sport. You guys have heard that probably before as well. So 7:30, even as early as 7 a.m. is the best time to start your day until 10 a.m. That first few hours of the morning, people are getting up, they're getting ready, they're going to work, they're driving, they are captive. Now, what that means is you're going to be able to get a hold of them, but it also means that there's, they're up, they're moving, they're moving and shaking, and they're actively picking up their phone. A lot of telemarketers don't reach out to people at 7:30, they have to wait till 8 a.m. Right. So if you're calling people before 8 a.m., chances are you have a good likelihood or a higher chance to get a hold of someone. So 7:30 to 10 is a great time to dial, even if you start as early as 7 a.m. Okay. Remember, we're not telemarketing. We're responding to people. We're responding to people that have filled out a request, whether it's by hand, electronically, Facebook, whatever. So we're getting back to them. We're not selling anybody. We're fulfilling a request. That's number one. The second time that gets you the best contact rate is right around lunchtime, right? When people are at work, they go to lunch, right? So between 11 and 1, 12 and 1 is typically a great time to get a hold of folks. And then the peak, in my opinion, outside of the morning is from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on the phone at 7:30 p.m., 8 o'clock and booked 2, 3, 4 appointments in their matter of 30 minutes to 45 minutes because people are picking up their phone. They're at home. They're relaxing. They're in good spirits. So if you're not taking advantage of dial times, you're not taking advantage of these hours and calling during these times, you're literally doing your business a disservice and you're not going to have as many presentations as you should. Okay. So, dialing at night might be uncomfortable, maybe new for you, but I'm telling you, this is how you get ahead. You have to do the things that maybe you're not comfortable or used to doing. Okay. Now, when you're calling people, I like to triple dial every time. Some people have different philosophies, but for me, what I found is a lot of the times if I single dial someone, meaning I call Bob one time, and they don't know my number, they're not going to answer, right? And if you think about yourself, right? If someone calls you, you don't know the number, and they call you one time, are you going to answer that call if you don't have it saved in your phone? Chances are you're probably not, right? But if you triple dial and now you see someone called you 3 times on your phone, back to back to back, you're like, wait, who is this? I probably need to talk to this person. This is urgent, right? So you're getting in the psyche of people, right? So you want to make sure, for me, I love to triple dial. I know some people do different patterns, but I found the most success triple dialing. And I don't think I've had anyone ever really upset with me of me triple dialing. They might be surprised, like, who is this? Why are you calling me so much? Hey, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about your request, right? So it's super simple, but triple dialing and then texting. Don't email people, guys. Most emails don't get open, but if you text people, over 90% of text messages get open and read, right? So if you're having trouble getting a hold of someone through a phone call, text them, okay? Text them and you'll be able to get a hold of them, okay? All right, now here's the thing. When we're talking about phones, one of the biggest mistake that new agents make is, well, which script am I using, Julius? Like I have these leads, these leads, these leads. What script should I use? Should I have a script for every lead type? The answer is no, okay? Here's a quick little hack that's gonna help you guys. You literally have one script for every lead type that you call. One script, okay? What's the biggest difference in each script? It's very simple. You're literally changing the first sentence or two to adjust to the lead type that you're calling, okay? So in the beginning, when I started, I thought I had to have a script for every lead type, right? So Grady gave me a batch of leads when I started. He gave me some old mortgage protection leads. I was reading some mortgage protection script. Then I bought some final expense leads. I'm like, okay, I need a script for that. And now I got a final expense script. Then I started calling internet leads. I'm like, hey, do you got a script for that? And what I realized over time is I was complicating this process for myself. And I think it was Matt Smith that I heard say this, that if you literally just use the same script for every customer, every lead, every person you call, and the only thing you change is the first sentence or two, you're going to simplify this business for yourself, and you're going to make it easier to get a hold of people, book more presentations, and have more appointments. So what do we change, right? Now, before we get into the script itself, I want you guys to understand your mindset and how you should be coming across, okay? First off, you have to remember that if you're struggling in this business, that's probably, if you're struggling to either book appointments, keep people on the phone, and set presentations, it's probably because your mindset is not where it needs to be. And what I mean by that is you have to remember, regardless of what lead type you are calling, each and every one of these clients you speak to has submitted a request. Okay. Every time that I've struggled in this business, I've gotten in my own head thinking these leads suck, or these people don't care, or they didn't do it, or whatever I was thinking. It was just a bad mindset that I was having. And because I was having that mindset, you guys, it was coming out in my voice tone. It was coming out in the words I say and how I presented myself. So if you can literally just take a step back and remember that every client requested information, that is the beginning of being successful on the phones here, okay? So every client submitted information, regardless of how it was, okay? Whether it was Facebook, internet, mail, it doesn't matter the type, the modality, doesn't matter, but they all requested information. Okay. So you gotta let that sink in. Now, when you're talking to people, okay, when you're talking and you're calling people, you have to be neutral. You have to be neutral. You have to be unaffected by anything the client said. Okay. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. It does not faze you. Okay. You're the professional. You almost have to act uninterested, to be completely honest with you, right? When you act too excited, when your voice tone is too loud, like the way I'm talking now, this is my natural voice tone. But when I'm calling a customer, guys, I have to literally change the way I speak. And you're going to have to find your voice. Part of being good on the phones is actually finding your voice, right? Because if I talk like this to every customer, I have a lot of passion, I have a lot of enthusiasm in the way I speak, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we're calling about final expense, mortgage protection, life insurance, whatever, you remember, we're field underwriters, right? We're not salespeople, right? So if you're coming from the perspective of I'm a field underwriter and I just have to get you this information, it doesn't matter, right? It does not matter. And the more that you can let that mindset sink in and like just become you as you're on the phone, where you don't get upset, you don't get excited, it doesn't matter what happens, the better you're going to project the energy that you need to project to help people, right? Because you're not affected by the clients, okay? And so stay neutral. You want to speak slowly and clearly, right? In the beginning, I thought that by speaking faster, I can get more of my words out and it's going to keep people on the phone. Guys, that's the actual opposite of what we should be doing. If we're speaking faster, that means people are going to think that we're salespeople, okay? When we speak slow and clearly, people are going to stop and listen, right? And you have to keep in mind, who's our target demographic? Who's our clients? They're generally 40, 50 plus, right? So are they speaking fast with the people that they speak with every single day? No, they're generally speaking a little slower and clearer, like they do with their friends and family and whatnot, okay? So don't be in a rush, be in control, right? Now, here's how I start every single call. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to share with you the interchangeable line that you can use today as soon as we get done with this for you to be more effective on the phones, okay? So if I'm calling a client, we're just going to, I like to use Bob and Mary, right? So the phone rings, ring. I go, Bob? They say yes. I say, hey, Bob, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about the mortgage protection request that you submitted into the office. I just need to verify the information you put down here. Looks like you put down your date of birth as March 1st, 1960. Is that right? So what did I do? I introduced myself. I told them the reason for my call. And now I'm verifying the information to make sure it's them, right? So now if I'm dialing a different lead type, it's the same exact thing. Hey, Bob, this is Julius. I'm getting back to you about the final expense information you requested and sent into our office. I just need to verify what you put down here first. Looks like your date of birth is March 1st, 1960. Is that right? So what did I change? The only thing I changed was I'm getting back to you about mortgage protection, or I'm getting back to you about final expense, or I'm getting back to you about life insurance, whatever. That's literally the only thing that I change every time I call, regardless of if I'm trying to have a virtual appointment or an in-person, right? So this, if you just take a step back and realize like, hey, if I do this thing, this process, these words, this sequence every single time, it's going to allow you to flow and be more natural in the conversations that you have. So if you guys have ever heard me on the live dials, this is literally what I do every single time. Okay? I don't break. So if you're struggling with keeping people on the phones or booking appointments, ask yourself, what are you saying in the beginning? You don't need to say this. You're calling from the benefit center. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying it, but you don't need to, right? I'm a big believer in less is more. And so I want to get right to the point. If someone's calling me, why are you calling? What's up? How can I help you? Right? So that's it, right? So if I'm calling about life insurance, I actually don't even like to say life insurance when I call, even though it could be a life insurance lead. Most life insurance leads or internet leads are typically final expense burial requests. So instead of saying life insurance, because sometimes what I realize is when I say life insurance, a lot of times people hang up the phone. Instead of saying that, I'll say, hey, this is Julius getting back to you about the final expense burial programs you requested. My job, I'm the local field underwriter. I just need to verify what you put down here. And then I go into verifying. And now listen, guys, some of these leads are going to have more information and some are going to have less. You want to verify whatever information you have on the lead card. Date of birth, and you want to identify unique things. Date of birth, if it's there, age, if it's there, obviously address, if they mark their smokers, anything that's unique is what you want to verify. If they put the beneficiary, do that. Okay. So that's the key to the beginning, right? Speak slowly, speak clearly, tell them the reason for your call, and get right into verifying information. The sooner you can get into verifying information, the sooner that you're going to be able to keep them on the phone and get into the actual presentation. Okay. Now, without going through all of the different scripts and all that stuff, there's a few key points that help you book more appointments, have more presentations, or do one call closes. And it's really two key things. It's one, your introduction, doing that properly, clearly, and effectively. Okay. And we just went through that. You can do that with any lead type. Like I said, just change that first sentence of the purpose of your call. Hey, I'm getting back to you about mortgage protection, about the mortgage protection request. Hey, I'm getting back to you about the final expense request. Hey, I'm getting back to you about the life insurance request. Whatever works for you. Now, if something is not working and you're noticing you're getting hung up on, you have to change something to get a different result. You just do. Okay. And if you need help, reach out. We'll help you. Okay. If this is helpful, drop a comment letting me know that this is helpful. Drop a fire emoji if this is helpful so far. Okay. Now, when you get into it, okay, people are going to give you objections. They're going to give you smoke screens. They're going to give you what I like to call initial reluctance. They're going to give you some pushback in the beginning to see if you're going to get through. Now, this doesn't mean that they're not interested. Okay. Some of this stuff is it's a defense mechanism, right? If someone calls you and says, hey, this is so-and-so, and we don't know them from the get-go, most people put up their hands and they're in defense. They're in a defense position, right? So we want to disarm people, okay? First off, guys, we're not salespeople. And if you want to say that, you can. I've never said that unless I really had to, okay? So regardless of the objection, there's a transition that you can use to help you, okay? If you guys aren't using this transition, I would highly encourage you to start using this, okay? Because the moment that I got better at being on the phones is the moment I got better at transitioning and handling objections, okay? So what's the transition? The transition is perfect. That's the purpose of my call, right? So no matter what someone says to you, hey, I don't have time. Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Hey, I already got this taken care of. Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Hey, I'm not interested. Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Now, that's just the transition that allows you to get into the next sentence, right? But if you're not doing that, your transitions could be a little bit off, okay? So, and here's the next thing. That's one transition that works with any objection, but here's another one. My job is just to get you the information you requested, right? I'm not trying to sell anybody on the phone unless I'm in a one call close. And even when I'm in there, I'm not giving them the idea that I'm trying to sell them. The purpose of my call is to get them the information they requested, right? So you can actually put those two together. Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. My job is just to get you the information because that is our actual job. Okay. The better you get at making these transitions, the better you get at being quick with it without stumbling and fumbling, the better you're going to get at handling objections. So now you have to remember, guys, if you're setting appointments, you have to tell folks you're busy. Okay. Right. You have to remember, you have to stay in control, right? Because a lot of times people are going to be like, oh, I'm busy. Well, yeah, I'm busy too. Right. And that's perfect. That's the purpose of my call, is to get you the information you requested. Okay. So before we get into objections and rebuttals, you also have to remember, treat every lead the same, whether it's a new lead, whether it's an age lead, it does not matter. Okay. Every lead should be treated the same. If it's your first time calling them or your 15th time calling them, treat it like it's your first time calling them. Okay. If you've called them before and they said, hey, give me a call back, and you weren't able to actually lock down an appointment, when you call them back, don't be like, hey, Bob, this is Julius calling you back. Why? Because when you call them back and you say that you're going to call them back, that's a trigger that they know you're a salesperson. Hey, this is Julius. I'm following up. You asked me to call back. No, that's a trigger, right? They're following up. Again, defense mechanism, right? So you treat it like it's a new appointment or a fresh call, first time you call them. Hey, Bob, this is Julius, just getting back to you about that final expense request you sent into our office. I just need to verify what you put down here. It looks like your date of birth is this. Super smooth, super easy. Literally, guys, that's mastering the phones. That could be that simple. Okay. Now let's talk about rebuttals. Okay. Because rebuttals, in the beginning, the only thing I was doing, guys, is I was looking for the layups. And some of you may be doing this. Okay. And if you are, that's okay, but not okay. And the reason I say that is because yeah, you'll make some sales, you'll make the layups, and 25% of this business or the people you call are going to be ready to buy no matter who calls them. But if you want to get good and become a top producer, make a lot of money, you have to be good at this skill set, which is transitioning from their objection into rebuttal back into setting an appointment or into the script. So what's the transition? Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Okay. So if someone says to me, hey, I don't have time. Hey, Bob, I don't have perfect. That's the purpose for my call. I don't have time either. What time do you get home from work today? What am I doing? I'm pushing forward to get into an appointment, not there because they don't have time, but later that day. And by asking them a question, I've now took control back because I put them in a position where they have to answer the question. Okay. So perfect. The purpose of my call is to get you that information. I don't have time now either. What time are you home from work today or tomorrow if you want to do it that way, right? So what am I doing? I've transitioned. I've acknowledged their statement. I've then effectively transitioned to go back into the script to set an appointment for later, okay? Very easy, right? Next one. I've already taken care of this, okay? We see that sometimes too. Now, they may not have already taken care of it, but that's what they're telling us. Okay, perfect. That's the purpose of my call. According to my file, it looks like this hasn't been taken care of yet. I just have to get you the information you requested. Do you have time now, or is later this evening better to take care of that for you? Right? So what am I doing? The same thing. I've acknowledged what they're saying. I've transitioned and I'm back to asking a question to either knock it out now or later, depending on how the beginning of the call went. Okay. But you have to be able to transition and push forward with either an appointment or get into a presentation. Okay. So if you're doing one call closes and you're trying to do it, final expense internet leads in a one call close, you're not going to try to do it later that evening. If you're trying to do a one call close, you're going to say, all right, perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Looks like your file's still open. Do you have a few minutes to do that right now, where we can go ahead and close out your file? But you're pushing forward, right? You have to push forward. Okay. If someone says, what's the cost? Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. I'm actually a field underwriter. In order for me to get you that cost and get you the information, I do have to ask you a few simple questions. Do you have a few moments now so we can knock this out, or is later today better for you? The same, you notice the trend here, right, guys? I'm saying the same thing, and I'm only tweaking just a little portion of what I'm responding with based on what the customer says. So if you can keep that structure, you can keep that process and those word tracks the same. This is one thing that I've learned in this business. The more simplistic you can keep things, and the more repetitive and doing the same things over and over, the more consistent your results are going to be. So the more consistent you are in what you say and how you say things, that will lead to the more consistent you'll be in your results, right? If you say something different every time someone says something to you, you're going to have sporadic and erratic results. But if you can create a process and a word track and a system for every time you hear a certain response, guys, this thing's going to become real easy for you. Okay. Same thing is if someone says, I'm not interested. Okay, Perfect. That's the purpose of my call. I'm not interested either. My job is just to get you the information you requested. What time are you home from work? Right? I'm not interested, Julius. I understand, but I have to get you this information to close out your file. Do you have 10 minutes to knock it out now, or is later this evening better for you? Right? It doesn't matter whether if I'm in person or I'm virtual, I'm saying the same stuff, right? But being a master or being good on the phones has to really do with really two key things. One, you got to dominate the first 15 seconds of your conversation. Okay. The first 15 seconds of your conversation has to be you in control. And then two, you have to be able to overcome objections. You have to be able to transition and pivot. And listen, guys, this isn't rocket science. You have to just master these few lines that will help you transition better. Number one is perfect. That's the purpose of my call. Two, my job is just to get you the information you requested. Everything else you can tweak, make little tweaks throughout and find the word tracks that work for you for each objection. Now, if you haven't done this, I highly recommend you take your objections, you print them out and have them in front of you until you become really good at this. Okay. I see some people almost daily that are new in this business that don't have their objections in front of them. And guys, I will tell you, that is what I did. I thought I could be good by just maneuvering and being quick on my feet and doing that stuff. But that's where I was going wrong. It took me, I don't remember how many weeks or months to really like sit back and like understand, okay, I'm struggling in these few key areas. And as soon as I realized that and I adjusted my rebuttals to make it simpler for me and say the same thing every time, that's literally where the shift happened, where I was able to book more appointments and have more presentations and really make some more money. So guys, this is not complicated. Okay. It will be complicated if you don't practice and put in the work and do the reps. Right. And the last thing I would say is this, and we're going to tie this off this way. If you are looking to get better at your phone skills, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a separate training outside of this where I'm going to work with a handful of people. Okay. If you're interested in being selected as one of these folks to improve your phone skills, improve your rebuttals, improve how you do this day in, day out, go ahead and drop, what are we going to drop in there? Drop a phone emoji in the chat. I'm going to select a few people to work with hand in hand where we will work together to help you improve your skills. Because at the end of the day, you guys, this is how we level up. Okay. When you get good at the phones, you get good at the activity that produces a majority of the results, your results will change. Okay. And if you can master your phones, all the other stuff becomes a lot easier. So I'm going to work with a select group. You guys are ready. I see phone emojis dropping in. I appreciate that. And I'll get back to you after we're done here. But what we're going to do outside of here is we're going to take this group, we're going to condense the group, and we're really going to work on these skills together. And we're going to make it interactive, right? Because today we're sharing some of the skills. I'm telling you what to do, but until you actually apply it and execute on it and practice it, you won't get good at it. Okay. So I want to help you guys apply it. I want to help you guys get better at it. I want to help you guys tweak those words, because I know if we help you do those things, you guys will help more families make more money, and then we're all growing. So I hope this helps, guys. There's going to be some more episodes coming out about how to get to 20 plus families, 20 plus clients a month. So I appreciate you guys joining. Bye for now.